What's the funniest thing you've ever blurted out without thinking? In high school, I was never the class clown. I wasn't the kid cracking jokes or pulling pranks. If anything, I tried to fly under the radar. But one day in history class, I accidentally said something so dumb, so random, that people were still bringing it up years later. It all started during exam review week. Our history teacher had this tradition before big tests. She'd stand at the front of the room, clipboard in hand, and grill us with rapid-fire questions. No hand-raising, no volunteers. She'd just call your name, and you had about 2 seconds to answer. If you got it wrong, she immediately moved on to the next person. It was brutal. You could feel the tension in the room every time she looked down at her list of names. Everyone sat hunched over their notes, praying she wouldn't call on them. You could hear people's pencils tapping nervously. Honestly, it felt less like a classroom and more like a firing squad. Sure enough, halfway through, she looked right at me. My stomach dropped. My palms started sweating. Then she said the question, "What year did the Berlin Wall fall?" Now here's the thing. I knew I had studied that. I could literally picture the page in my notebook. I'd highlighted it. But my mind went completely blank. The silence in the room made it 10 times worse. 30 kids staring at me, waiting for me to either nail it or embarrass myself. And in that moment of panic, instead of just saying, "I don't know," I blurted out the first dumb thing that came to mind. I muttered, Tuesday." The room went dead silent. For 2 long seconds, nobody moved, nobody breathed. And then, the entire class erupted. People were clutching their stomachs, desks rattling, kids wiping tears from their eyes. Even the teacher, who was normally stone-faced, put her clipboard down, looked at me, and said, "Well, technically, you're not wrong," which only made everyone laugh harder. From that moment on, I wasn't invisible anymore. The next day, people in the hall were pointing at me and yelling Tuesday, like it was my new nickname. At lunch, kids I barely knew came over to ask if I had any Tuesday wisdom to share. It spread so fast, it turned into an inside joke across multiple grades. And here's where it gets crazy. A week later, during the actual exam, guess what question showed up? What year did the Berlin Wall fall? And half the class said the only reason they remembered the date was because they thought of me blurting out Tuesday. My wrong answer actually helped people get it right. But it didn't stop there. Teachers started in on it too. I had a math teacher return a quiz once, look me straight in the eye, and say, "Close, but not quite Tuesday." The whole room cracked up again. By senior year, I thought people would have forgotten about it, but nope. On the last day of school, during yearbook signing, one kid literally wrote just one word on my page, Tuesday. And during graduation rehearsal, someone yelled it across the auditorium, and the entire class laughed all over again. I never planned it. I wasn't trying to be funny, but somehow that one dumb slip ended up being the most legendary thing I ever said in the heat of the moment.